Well, hey everybody, Sue Woodard here. And if this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Mortgage Innovators Podcast, where we deliver fresh and hopefully entertaining insights on all things mortgage and the innovation that propels our industry forward. As I said, my name is Sue Woodard, and every Tuesday you can find a rotating group of co-hosts who all share our own unique connection to this wonderful industry. So this week we're continuing our series called Let's Recruit. Each episode in the month of October, we're focusing on all things recruiting and finding the very best talent for your company. So before we get into the episode, we also want to let you know we're excited to announce that the Mortgage Innovators Conference 2023, Innovators Unite, is going to be June 14th and 15th, 2023 at the Hilton Anaheim. The sponsorship opportunities are now open, and if you want to get some more information, just head on over to mortgageinnovators.com/conference. Again, that's mortgageinnovators.com/conference to keep up to date on all the details. Well, with no further ado, Eric, let's dive right into it. Welcome. I'm glad you're on the broadcast today.
I'm so stoked. Anytime I get a chance to talk to you, I'm excited. Let's go.
Things are good. Let's talk about a very hot topic for lenders right now. We are right smack dab in the middle of what some people consider recruiting season. I mean, it's hunting season in Minnesota, and it's hunting season for mortgage lenders out there too. And so we really want to talk a little bit about recruiting. That's obviously been just, man, your sweet spot in your career. And I will give everybody a little sneak preview. Hang on till the end of our short podcast, because there's something really cool that Eric and ModelMatch are putting out into the market that I want you to know about, but we're going to save it till the very end. But Eric, let's dig into it. I mean, what are you seeing and hearing out there?
Well, maybe let's start with what you were saying earlier. And by the way, thank you for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. You were talking about peak recruiting season, right? And I think that, funny enough, if we start thinking about timing things like recruiting or relationship building, we're already off track. There's no such thing as peak recruiting season, in my opinion. Our mutual friend, Kevin Peranio, was reminding me that I said that to him about a year ago, because he was telling his company, hey, we're in peak recruiting season. And I said, hey, Kevin, I politely disagree. This isn't peak recruiting season. There may be peak conversion moments. There may be times throughout the year where you see more conversion, but recruiting relates to an entire process, right? The opportunity to identify people or opportunities that you know you should probably be building relationships with, and then the process of getting to know them, like them, trust them, have that work the other way as well, so that when the opportunity arises, both because of value that's created as well as timing, then you're in a position to partner for all the right reasons. But let's say I want to get to know Sue Woodard, but I don't think the timing is just right, because, man, it's peak conference season right now, and Sue's traveling all over the place, and I'm not going to get her to call me back. Well, if I wait 3 or 4 months for the perfect time, something may have now changed about Sue, and I wasn't in the right place at the right time to be able to engage. So, point being, the worst time to start recruiting, I'll tell you what the worst time is tomorrow.
That's a really good point. So, point taken. Your point is, I love that. It's always peak recruiting season. It's just that more conversions for a variety of reasons may be apt to happen, right now over the next, 30, 60, 90 days, something like that. So talk to me about the lenders that are out there recruiting right now. What do you see as the biggest pain point?
Well, I think obviously one of the biggest pain points for the lenders are market conditions that they can't control. Now, we made decisions over the last couple of years to maybe take advantage of market conditions that we also didn't control. They were controlled by larger market and environment conditions. And we saw a lift in the mortgage industry. We saw originators and branches and companies doing 2, 3, 4, 5x what they've ever done. Well, that's now ended, right? The wave has come crashing into the shore, so to speak. And I think one of the challenges is just simply understanding where you stand as an organization and how do you ultimately create value in a market like this, different than maybe how you were communicating and creating value in a market 12 months ago or 6 months ago. So that is one problem. Another problem that I'm noticing, and I was at a speaking engagement not that long ago, and I was trying to research what it is that makes people freeze in certain environments, companies and individuals. And I tripped on this trait, this psychological journal that I read that was talking about the the threat rigidity response. And what the threat rigidity response is essentially you're hit with a fear, something that creates fear in you, and you freeze. You do nothing. You just wait. You wait for that condition to change. But what psychologists have also noticed or found is that those that actually do something in those moments are the ones that end up on top. Those are the ones that end up learning something about themselves or their company or their overall value proposition to then do what? Succeed in that environment. And so right now is a perfect opportunity to pick up market share for those that are well positioned. But Sue, I think there's a couple of big problems. Number one, I think a lot of companies are figuring out who they are right now. And if the street senses that there's some confusion about who you are at the top, you not only have a problem with retention, but you may have a problem with recruiting. You may have a problem with retention also. But if you are a company that knows who you are, knows how you fit into this environment, and can communicate that with confidence, strategically with confidence, there's fear on the other side.
Yep.
And the loan officers, the branch managers, the wholesale account executives, those folks that you want to engage with, they've got fear also. Look, they've been managing their personal businesses with a balance sheet that has just changed awfully dramatically.
Yes.
So they have fear themselves. Well, in a time of fear, what are you attracted to? You're attracted to confidence. You're attracted to consistency, to predictability. And so I think these are the things that I'm noticing companies are grappling with the most. And that communication with confidence and consistency and predictability, it's got to happen from the top all the way down to the street, or else you've got a gap.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that point, because one of the things that I have talked to a lot of lenders and vendors about as well is the fact that, when COVID started, you remember how all leaders were doing we're all in it together video once a week, and we're all going to talk because this is all weird and crazy. We're working from home. But I think when the volume got nuts, people stopped communicating because they're like, well, everybody's busy. They don't have time to watch this video. I'm going to not do the one-on-one because they're so busy. I'm going to give them a break. So some of those regular communications that were heightened for a little while kind of broke down. And to your very good point, this is, recruiting and retention, two sides of the same coin. And so I'm really glad that you brought up retention and communication as a part of this too. So walk us through if you're a lender listening to this and you're responsible for doing some recruiting, whether or not you necessarily are feeling this threat rigidity response or fear. Walk us through what are you telling the lenders that you work with at ModelMatch in terms of, what are the steps? What do you go do in order to take meaningful action on recruiting right now?
Yeah, first step is know who you are. Do an audit of the organization and those within the organization across core competencies that are going to then line up or not line up with those opportunities that you're going to start engaging with. And over the years, what we have found through experience, we didn't just come up with this on our own because we thought we were the smartest people in the room, which, by the way, if I'm the smartest person in the room, you might want to go find another room. But it's through conversations with people like you, Sue, and leaders in this industry and loan officers and then companies. And that is, there's 6 core competencies that really help create that match: business, leadership, operations, technology, geography, and culture. And there's a lot of bullets underneath each one of those core competencies. First, you've got to identify who are you as a company across those core competencies. Secondly, you need to then find out what are the opportunities that line up with your organization from a criteria perspective. So if you're looking to add more volume, meaning hire originators, bring on new branches, or maybe even acquisitions, the beauty is right now is we're loaded with data. There's multiple sources to go find. Show me the NMLS IDs in a given county that do X amount of volume, X amount of purchase to refi, product mix, who they're selling their loans to, so on and so forth, and engage with those individuals. But stay true to who you are relative to those 6 core components that we just talked about. The other thing that those core components do is it generates confidence for those that are making the phone calls. If you don't know how to say who you are relative to operations or technology or tech stack or marketing or, those things are going to help that originator do one more purchase deal this month. Well, then when that topic comes up, what are you going to say? And that lack of confidence really negatively impacts your ability to even engage with them in the first couple of minutes. So instead of jumping to make that first phone call, first make sure you know who you are as a company, who you are as a local manager in your local market, set your criteria, and then create a project to start identifying and engaging with those individuals that line up with those core competencies and that criteria. So you asked about the start. that's the start. But a self-audit really has to happen first.
So Eric, tell me a little bit about the value of, you talked about knowing who you are. What about telling stories, telling success stories about people who understand, embrace who you are, and are really doing well inside of an organization?
That's a great question. And it goes along with the 6 core components. And it reminds me of a conversation that I had this week with someone, a leader that is exploring the possibility of making a change. And he called me up and he said, I just had a call where I was the recruit and there was a head of production that was talking to me. And for 20 minutes, this head of production just product dumped everything about their company. Our products are great. We close loans in under X amount of days. Our tech stack is awesome. We do service X amount of loans. He said, I'm 30 minutes into the call and I don't know anything about this person and also can't connect any dots. So when we talk about validating stories, what I encourage people to think about, and by the way, this creates confidence, is when you start getting into loan flow, instead of saying how quickly you close loans or exactly what the triggers are from processing to underwriting, how the loan officer is then involved, what is somebody really asking? They're asking for efficiency. How does your operational model create an efficiency for me that gives me more time to do more business? Okay, great. Well, my validating story should be something along the lines of, hey, we just hired this person, Sue. Sue came from XYZ company. She's been with us for about 6 months. But one of the things that we do differently with our operational loan flow is ... And this is what this has done for her. With her referral partners, she now has more time to spend with them, less time in her pipeline. And what she's noticed in the last 6 months is that she's added another 2 units a month to her business. Now, what is the person now hearing? They're hearing a little bit about your loan flow, but I heard Sue's name. That means she's a real person. I heard the company she came from. Oh, that's a competitor of mine. And what else did I just hear? She's doing 2 more units per month in the same amount of time. That validating story builds trust. Plus, it's much easier to say.
I love that. And I think it's so true. I mean, I do remember back when I was originating and I would get recruited, it was shocking to me how many people didn't take a moment to even learn anything about me. It was, we got the best rates, we got the best products, and it's just like, hello, you don't even know me. So I love
totally agree. And not to interrupt you, but it's one of the reasons I think you've heard me say this before. I hate the word recruiting when it comes to this. I hate, what do we, look, if there's an open job and someone that needs a job, that's recruiting. But if I'm going out and building a relationship with an originator that does $2 million a month in volume, heavy purchase, 100% self-source, guess what they don't think they need? You.
Yeah.
It's not recruiting. I'm trying to establish a relationship with you first so I can learn enough about you to bolt on something about my value proposition that will create an efficiency for you and your referral partners. And that takes time.
I like that. Not recruiting, relationship building. So we've got just a couple minutes left, and I want to leave time to talk about ModelMatch Connect, that project, which I'm really excited about. What else have you got that lenders need to bear in mind when they're recruiting right now?
One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, those that are making the phone calls, branch managers, regionals, you name it, believe it or not, it's not the negative of cold calling. It's not the fear of making that first call. That's a problem, but that's just a problem somebody has to overcome, and you can coach around that. The biggest problem is this. Sue and I have a conversation. We've never spoken before. We talk for 10 or 15 minutes. At the end of the conversation, you've said some things to me that I think I know how I can create a little bit of value for you. But I don't end the call with a call to action. I don't say, hey, Sue, let me tell you what I suggest. I know your time's valuable, mine is as well, and I want to be sensitive to that. But you talk to me a little bit about some things you're doing within social media. Let's look at the calendar next week. I'd love to show you some things that we're doing within our organization that's creating value for our company. Set the action. And there's a couple reasons why. Number one, with an action, like a loan traveling through the LOS, it's not left with a black hole, which you would never do with a file. You would never do that with a loan. And number two, it helps you prioritize your pipeline. What should I be focusing on and what should I be maybe staying away from? Look, sometimes the best thing somebody can tell you is no, because then you can identify why and see if you can overcome that objection. But no action is just a black hole. Black holes kill your recruiting pipeline.
Right on. All right. Well, where can people learn more about ModelMatch, Eric?
ModelMatch.com, www.modelmatch. I sound like an old guy when I say that, right? ModelMatch.com. Go to the website. We got good people working on the website. The best way to do is go to the website, click get demo, and just schedule a demo with our biz dev team. They'd love to, for 15 minutes, just show you how the technology works.
I love it. And I want you to give me just like a 30-second hit on the really cool thing that you're doing with ModelMatch Connect, which I think is quite a gift to the industry. And I'm really pleased about it. So please share.
Okay, super quick, ready, go. ModelMatch Connect is essentially an environment where we are trying to support those folks that have been laid off through reductions of force that we're seeing around the industry all over the place. There are great human beings with great skill sets that don't have a job due to market conditions that they can't control. So what we've done is in ModelMatch Connect, which is also a website, modelmatchconnect.com, if you're one of those people or you think you're going to be, go to that website. You can add your information along with your LinkedIn, your resume, and your contact information, and that makes you visible to lenders, to tech companies, and others that can then opt into the environment and connect with you. We don't charge for it. There's no user seat. There's no placement fees. There's no reason not to go in there and just support those relationships impacted. Look, this business is going to come back. And as we build more relationships with each other, we can create value. Plus, there are companies still hiring. So this is a portal to go make that connection without the in-between of worrying about fees or cost.
Yes. And the lenders and vendors are going to be posting some jobs there too. So it's a matchmaking, letting people go in and see what's out there. So thank you for doing that.
Yes. And go, everybody, lenders and others, go in there and sign up for it. The reality is with consult like with you, Sue, we're going to get better and better and add more and more to it. This is a start and we're super excited to do it.
Yeah, I love it. ModelMatch.com, ModelMatchConnect.com. Eric, thank you. And hey, to all of you, thank you for listening to today's episode. And if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to the Mortgage Innovators YouTube channel or wherever you podcast. And until next time, we'll see ya. Thanks, Eric.